Okay, welcome back to Political Gurus. You want to talk about Donald Trump and Lindsey Graham. Donald Trump came in as a MAGA, claimed he was ending all these unnecessary wars, said he was going to be a president of peace and focus on the economy. But we have here him on the brink of trying to invade Iran. It looks like he's trying to avoid doing that, trying to make deals and everything. But at the same time, we see that his armada is getting bigger. More and more ships are being sent towards Iran, which it looks like the U.S. is going to try to attack them and suppress their anti-air system. I mean, I'm not saying that's going to happen, but with this type of buildup of ships that they're bringing, they either try to scare Iran or they're pivoting for war. I wouldn't be surprised if they're pivoting for war, but I think that the pressure for war is coming from Lindsey Graham, Mike Pompeo, and AIPAC. Lindsey Graham is hell-bent on destroying Iran and changing their regime. Trump doesn't really want to change the regime. He just wants to do some bargains and say, I get a win. But it looks like Lindsey Graham may have his way. And the reason he might have his way is because he's on discretionary spending, and he can cut or he can block through Congress or through Senate or through the House. He can block bills that Trump wants, like his big, beautiful bill, his walls and things like that. So he has power. Trump, it doesn't have 100% carte blanche power as a president, which no president does have. So he may have to cave in. But I find it remarkable that Lindsey Graham and Mike Pompeo are pushing for a war, which could very well destroy Israel, could destroy the U.S. economy, could cause economic collapse money-wise for the world with the Strait of Hormuz, and also with attacks on U.S. bases, because I think that Iran knows now that its back is against the wall. They're not going to just lay over and die. They're going to use their missiles, which they have, to full effect. Trump is trying to tell them, oh, we'll sign a deal with you if you give up your ballistic missiles. They won't give up their ballistic missiles. For them to give up their ballistic missiles would be treason, because that's the only reason Iran exists now, is because of those ballistic missiles. And also because they have a population of 100 million. It'll be hard to beat them. But these ballistic missiles they have are very important. So it just seems weird that what's his name, Lindsey Graham and Mike Pompeo, that either they're stupid and they don't realize that this war would be a big, devastating effect for the global economy, for Israel more than any other, and will continue to push the U.S. in a decline where we need to be focused on our internal economy. Or they could just be Warhawks and Bible-pumping maniacs who are waiting for Armageddon. And I'm not being funny either. Maybe they're waiting for that, or maybe they're such white supremacists that they want to start a world war and hopefully think that we can rebuild after that. What are your thoughts? Iran has capability of picking up stealth bombers, which will be trying to strike them, especially their missile capability. They have that help from China, and they also have radar. I mean, they can also lock in on targets in Israel and in U.S. bases, so that even if you stop their anti-air missile attack, you're not going to stop their offensive attack with their missiles also. And they'll be getting satellite help from China and Russia. So I don't know if Lindsey Graham and these guys know that, if they think this is going to be an easy war, or they don't mind, or they think that the U.S. could win a war of attrition, which it probably could. But if the U.S. goes into a war of attrition with Iran to try to break it and goes to war with Iran for more than 2 or 3 months, that's going to cause big problems domestically in the U.S. and is going to lead to the absolute obliteration of Israel as well as American bases. And if care is not taken, Iran will also strike a U.S. warship. Now, people say that they won't do that because that means the U.S. would attack them with a nuclear weapon, which may be the case. But you see how far this thing is escalated to the point where maybe Iran would want to take out a ship, a carrier, which they can do. But if they did it, the U.S. would take a nuclear option. So what Lindsey Graham and these guys are doing is pushing for a war, which could lead to escalation to nuclear war. And Trump is so greedy that he's not willing to defy them, because he knows he could lose funding from them in Congress and Senate.
When you look at this entire America invades Iran debacle, you ask yourself, what is the reason? What reason should America be invading a sovereign country in the first place? Have they attacked?
The argument is nuclear, and that because they said, 10 years ago, Ahmadinejad, whatever his name, said, oh, Israel shouldn't exist. So they'll say that these guys are terrorist rogue nations that are out to destroy the world with nuclear warfare.
Yeah, the false flag attack was supposed to be the tinderbox to give them excuse for this invasion. And it's quite ironic that America is killing protesters on the street and then wants to invade Iran for allegedly killing protesters on the street. So this fundamental reason is why I don't think it can possibly succeed. Because what is there? I think that there's this big propaganda misinformation going on that makes people believe that Iranians want to return back to the Shah and under authoritarian rule. It's absurd. The entire
Here's the thing, even if they wanted to, it's not justification. But here's the thing, the U.S. keeps shifting its reasons. Now its reasons are because of their nuclear program. And lately, it's not even their nuclear program, it's ballistics. So have you seen it in less than 3 weeks, they've changed the reason for the war. At first, it was to go help liberate people. Then it was get rid of your nuclear program. Now it's get rid of your ballistic missiles. So do you see that it doesn't matter what excuse they use? These guys are just hell-bent on going to war with Iran for whatever reason. Lindsey Graham and these guys are biblical people.
They have no offensive use. The missiles and weapons that Iran has have no offensive use. They are purely defensive.
Oh no, those ballistic missiles could take out Israel, even if there's not just anti-air. They could take out Israel or take out target strikes. They could target Israel. But so what? Israel has missiles that could target Iran. So, but they serve as deterrent.
Of Israel's nuclear weapons. So they're never going to. So they know that there'll be consequences if they were to take out Israel. The entire point of Iran's entire drone armory is defensive. They've not built up weapons, the kind of conventional weapons you need to take over landed territory, and they
can just strike places.
They don't have problems with their Arab neighbors. Iranians are not. They're Persians. I think a lot of Americans get confused and don't realize that they're actually a different race, like Nigerians.
And what are they? Are they they're Sunni, right, or Shiite? They're Sunni.
They're Sunni.
Yeah, and the Shiites who are the terrorists. The Shiites, for example, is the Saudi Arabians who funded September 11th.
Boko Haram, ISIS, they're all Shiite.
Yeah.
All those are. Anyway, I'm not saying that Shiites are bad.
But let's get back to the domestic thing, though, because Trump, I don't think he wants to go to war with Iran, but it looks like Lindsey Graham and Mike Pompeo and AIPAC are pushing him towards this war. And I guess the only thing I'm trying to say is that the American people are lethargic, in which they're against a war with Iran, but they don't see a warning signal. So in other words, they're not only supposed to be against it, they're supposed to be hitting the streets right now saying, no, don't do this, because they don't realize that what's going on domestically in America is nowhere near as dangerous as what we're doing in Iran right now. You have liberal people on the streets fighting ICE. ICE isn't the big problem now. What the big problem is, like you always say, is AIPAC. And the fact that we're on the verge to something that could lead to a world war, and even if it doesn't lead to a world war, is going to entangle America and cost us trillions, the same way the Iran war cost us trillions. So like the American population is letting Trump and Lindsey Graham and have their little battle of whether they fight Iran. Americans should be paying attention to that, and they won't. And then they're going to wake up one day and gas is going to be 10 times the price if that war starts in Iran. So Americans should be pushing with all their heart right now to stop the U.S. imperial move, because it's going to backfire on us. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, Lindsey Graham is just is a hardcore, extreme far-right Zionist that supports everything that comes out of the mouths of Bibi and even Ben Gvir and even the most disgusting people in the Knesset. And he's also the person that's helping to push this attack on Iran. I believe Epstein files are closely linked to Iran. I don't know whether that's wrong for me to say.
As blackmail, probably.
Yes, but I strongly think that Trump doesn't want to invade Iran, not because he's a good person, but because he's not a military person. You have to have a military strategy, a tactic, and a goal to achieve when you decide. You can't put. Are you going to put boots on the ground in Iran? Are you mad? I mean,
no. You know what they want to do? They want to bomb it until it becomes so unstable that there's an uprising. But here's the thing:
how can anyone believe that if you want to bomb Iran to the Stone Age, that there are Iranians who love their country that want their country to be bombed back to the Stone Age for whatever reason?
I don't get it. And it's going to cost.
Supports that nonsense.
And if any of those planes get shot, which I think they will, some of them will be shot down, it's going to backfire. When Americans start seeing that we have even if we lose two soldiers to this war, we have to ask ourselves why. So I'll end with this. Lindsey Graham and Mike Pompeo, also say that Iran is a danger for the future, so we need to wipe them out. This is the same bullshit they said about Russia. They said about China. Oh, we need to go a Cold War with them. But the only antagonist on earth right now is America. That's all I'll say. What are your last thoughts?
What really makes me angry about this entire thing is that if they do go through with this, they're going to create another refugee crisis, and then these refugees are going to rush to their countries, and then the people in their countries are going to get even more angry that they got refugees in them, and they're the ones responsible for these crises. They're the ones causing the problem.
Mm-hmm.
What's wrong
Just like these guys are crazy. Let me tell you what it is: a bunch of old white guys who are going to die anyway, and they don't care if the world dies. These are the same types of people who caused World War II. It wasn't just Germany, Britain, France. I mean, specifically Britain exacerbated that situation with Germany with the sanctions they were putting in on them, and they knew this war was going to come, and they didn't care if it would affect the world. So these old white men don't care, because when everything hits the fan, they'll go to Davos, Switzerland, and live in the caves there, which will look like the real world, will look like a fantasy area. You get my point? If there's a war, it'll cause a genocide all over the world. It'll cause starvation. It'll cause famine. But the rich, they think they'll still hold on to their money and they'll be shielded from it. They're out for a rude awakening. Last thoughts and take us out.
Yeah, I think ultimately what America and Western Europe wants to do to the global South is just to drain them of their resources and destroy them, and keep them in and grow on top of their bones. That's what they want to do. Whether it's being subtle or indirect or direct, that's what they want to do. That cannot be the way forward for the world. They've lost, for me, the mandate, the moral mandate to be leaders of the world now. And the world needs to readjust, because what is happening in Iran is just pure might is right, as illegal as Hitler invading Poland, as far as I'm concerned. And no legitimacy whatsoever.
And then if Iran bloodies their nose and beats them up, they'll say, see how evil they are, but they ones who started the war. That's exactly what they'll gaslight you. Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, if Iran retaliates and hits an aircraft carrier and blows it up, they're going to call them the most evil people for blowing up an aircraft carrier that's been pumping missiles into their country. I mean, what are they going to do? They've got no choice. You're putting them in a possible situation. You're going to say that we want to attack you, but if you defend yourself by blowing us up, you're a war criminal. I mean, these people are just completely insane. And I don't believe that this U.S. regime, this American Western regime, can last much longer, because they're pulling on two ends.
No, these are the last days.
They don't want people in their country, and then they're blowing up other countries, forcing other people to have to move from their blown up countries. And then they're becoming more hateful and more aggressive at the same time. It cannot be a long-term solution.
No, these are the last days, because meanwhile, China has the greatest trade advantage it's ever had. China's living well. Russia's winning the war. Russia doesn't have a big economy like the U.S., but their money has better buying purchase, which means that in Russia, food is cheaper than it is in America, and they're living well. Meanwhile, we're falling apart and doing all of this. We're putting ourselves in the graveyard. Anyway, take us out.